Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. Today is going to be another book club video because I really enjoyed filming the last one and I thought it would be perfect for me to film another one. Really quick, I'm just going to show you guys my sweater, don't mind. I'm wearing pajama bottoms. It is a Trisha Paytas sweater. The beginning of November, I went and saw Trish live. She came to Toronto. And I thought, since I wore my Rhett and Link shirt last video, I thought it would be kind of funny to wear this one. But yeah, seeing Trish live was a whole experience in and of itself. It was really good. You know, she's hilarious and she can own anything. But yeah, my mug today is from her Small Cell Castle, which is where I went to university, my first year of university, if you guys didn't know that. And that is perfectly fitting because one of the books today is from the Norton Anthology of English Literature, because I'm in university again. If you guys haven't watched the update video, I can leave that somewhere maybe, but I did start university again. I'm doing it all online, and so one of the books that I added was something that was mandatory reading for one of my classes, but I thought that that would be fine to include in this little video. So from the Norton Anthology of English Literature, the Middle Ages volume, it is going to be Beowulf. I'm also going to talk about the Spoon River Anthology by Edgar Lee Masters. And finally, we're going to talk about Stephen King's Revival. So strap in, grab your tea, and let's get started. So if you guys are not interested in this, maybe I'll try to leave the time on the screen for what time you guys should flip forward to if you just want to watch both the actual books. But I had to read this for a English class. It's Beowulf. I'm not going to flip to it. There's no pictures or anything. I'm just going to hold up the whole anthology volume. But this was an epic poem, so it follows that classic, like the story of an epic. It's actually the very first poem in the English canon, I believe, if you guys are really interested in some of the background on it. The author for this poem is unknown. It is a poem, technically, or a story is how I look at it, but the author of it is completely unknown. There is obviously some speculation about it, but yeah, but it is very, very long. It is 3,000 lines long, which, you know, maybe you don't think that that's long, but when they're written this big, this is obviously not Beowulf. I just flipped to a random page in this anthology, but this is super, super tiny font, and it's in like Middle English, so you know, it's the basic story of dragons and knights and a quest. That's what it is. It's actually pretty good. Obviously, this is not something that I would usually gravitate towards in my own personal reading, but because I had to read it for my English class, out of the stuff that we've read, I really like this. I like that it's that classic story of knights and dragons. I like that there's a whole bunch of different things that go on, like throughout the course of 3,000 lines. There's multiple battles, there's multiple quests. Like, it's a really good story, and I think for how old it is and how long it's come along, and the fact that we do have it written, because obviously it would have started as an oral poem and eventually been written onto manuscript, but it's really good. Obviously wouldn't really recommend it to people who aren't into English lit, because it is a little bit harder to read. It is definitely hard to understand. Reading it in this type of format with the definitions and stuff on the side would probably be recommended. But all in all, I really liked it, and I thought it was a pretty good story. It's easy to follow, especially if you read it out loud to yourself. That's a trick that I've learned over the years of taking classes, that if you don't understand something, if you can't understand something, just read it out loud to yourself a couple of times, and that really, really helps. So that definitely helped with this, reading it out loud. I found an online version of it being read, and that really, really helped me. So yeah, if you guys are interested in that, let me know. Probably, well, I don't know. I was going to say I won't include any more that are like this. But if you guys enjoyed it, maybe I will, because I have to read them anyway. So, yeah. But honestly, out of the stuff that we've read, I did really, really enjoy this one. It is just a little bit hard to understand, so use some caution. The next book that I'm going to talk about is actually also kind of an English lit book. It is the Spoon River Anthology. Mine's the soft copy. Mine's actually the 100th anniversary edition. This is by Edgar Lee Masters, and it's pretty long. It's, let me see how long. Over 3. Yeah, so 305 pages long. Really good. Now, this is a book that you either love this book or you hate this book. That is how I've learned. So 2 summers ago, my family always goes to theater and plays and stuff when we're back home in PEI, and while we were there, we saw the Spoon River Anthology, or I think it was called Spoon River. And I went into it. Obviously we didn't talk during the show, and I walked out so happy, and I was like, that was amazing, like, that was incredible, you guys must have loved that. And my whole family was like, no, like, they hated it, and they didn't know how I enjoyed it so much, but I love it. This book, okay, so it's written, it's kind of hard to understand some of the words. They definitely use like an older English in like some of the cases, and it's also poems. Like each is, okay, I didn't even explain what it is. Basically, it's an anthology of all of the people that lived in Spoon River that are now dead in the Spoon River Cemetery. So each page is a different person. Some of them are really short, some of them are longer, but they're usually funny. Like, there's like a husband and a wife, and those ones are hilarious when you read them one after the other, like his point of view versus her point of view. Basically, and every person had like a sin or something they did wrong, or, you know, and it's all funny. Like, he puts it in such a way, it's so funny. So I really liked this, but this is definitely not for everybody. It's like, it's funny. The deacon's an alcoholic. Like, you know, there's other ones, a lot of them actually, now that I'm saying it, are alcoholics, but this is such a good book. I would totally recommend this. This was amazing. I love it. This book was also like $10, $9.95. My mom got it for me for Christmas last year, and this was my second time reading it. It's also really nice having books like this, because when I'm on break or whenever I do get a chance to read just a little snippet, I don't really like having super long chapters, so these are like literally 1 page long each one, and I could stop. But love it. Totally recommend this. And you don't really have to be an English person, like an English major or anything, to love this book, but I think it might help. But it's really good, and I would recommend it. The last book I'm going to talk to you guys about today is Stephen King, which I love all Stephen. I mentioned this in the first one. I really love Stephen King books. I love psychological thrillers. That's totally up my alley. So I got this one. I believe that this is actually a new book. I believe that this came out in 2018, maybe 2017. I actually don't see a date on it, but maybe it didn't. Actually, it says 2014 on it, so maybe it came out then. But either way, I have it in hard copy. It is Stephen King's Revival, and it's a lightning bolt down the front. This was like kind of expensive, I think. Yeah, $36 Canadian. I probably had a gift card, to be honest. It is 403 pages long. This is such an interesting book. When I know a lot of people, when they hear Stephen King, they think like Carrie and like books like that, and stories like that. This isn't like that, but it also is. It is definitely a psychological thriller. There's some religious aspects, which is why I would, use caution if you're going to recommend this to people. I know religion can be an issue. Sorry if I'm blinding you guys, but yeah, this is such a good book. It is different from his other books. It's not like Carrie or like It. It's definitely a book in and of itself. It's about this boy in a small town who meets a pastor, and something tragic happens to the pastor, and he basically falls out of religion. And, you know, way in the future, the man and the little boy, they meet again. And he's all grown up now. And, you know, they have a little interaction, and then they stop talking again, and several years pass, and then they come back together. And it's really interesting. And this man, he used to be really religious, obviously. He was a pastor, and then fell out of religion, and then kind of created, in my eyes, his own kind of religion, or at least his own, like, way to fill that void that religion had left in his, like, mind. It's really good. It's different. It's unique. I really liked this. I think that if you're gonna read this, you have to be able to sit down and read it, because you're going to want to get through a couple of chapters at a time. Like, it is a good book. You do need to think a little bit when you're reading it, whereas, like, when you're reading, actually none of the examples from today, but, like, most of the books from my last book club, if you read those, you can kind of just read them. They're easy reading. This isn't hard to read. Like, it's not hard to understand. But, yeah, either way, this was a really, really good book, and I would definitely recommend this. I think that it was unique and different, but not too different that it's, like, out there. Obviously, there are elements of, like, Stephen King's trademark. It's not like Carrie or It, but it does have, you know, kind of like a supernatural kind of vibe. It actually isn't until the very end with this book that comes into play, but really good book. I would recommend this for sure to pretty much anybody. Spoon River, if you like poetry, I would recommend this as well. I really liked it, and I'm not huge into poetry, so anybody could read this. And then Beowulf, I think it's a good read. I think it's something that, you know, every student should read, but maybe not for everybody. But yeah, that was book club. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.